Boy, wow. I may struggle to make it through part of this, but you know, this is one of the most extraordinary nights of my life, and I want you all to know that right now I'm filled with basically two emotions. One is just incredible gratitude to all of you and to all the people I met this year. And the second is the deepest resolve I've ever felt in my entire life. Right? You know, at the start, before I share with you all what's on my mind, I just want to say, you know, I called Governor Hutchinson a little while ago. I thanked him for running a constructive and honorable race. I hope you all will all congratulate him and join me as we wish him the very best these next 4 years. We all need him to succeed, and it's all our job to wish him the best and support him as he leads this state in the next 4 years. And so I want to thank him for running a good race and wish him the best as the governor in the next 4 years in the state. You know, to start out, I just want to take a moment and thank everyone who has made this campaign and the progress that we made this year possible. I, of course, have to start by thanking my brilliant and extraordinary wife, Melanie Prince. You joined this adventure with me. You believed in me all the way. It would take me too long, and I would not make it more than 2 sentences if I described how incredible you've been this year and what you've taken on to make this possible. I love you. He's not here tonight, but of course I've got to thank my son Duke, who's the cutest campaigner ever. And I know they're here, but I can't see them. I have to thank my parents, Duke and Becky. They are the best grandparents ever, but they're also the best parents I could have ever had. You all have not just loved me and supported me, you've set an example. It's made me who I am. Oh, this is harder than I thought it would be. To my staff, man, for standing with me throughout this campaign, working day and night to help it run, I am so proud of you. Not only for the intelligence and professionalism you brought to this campaign, but also for the warm and supportive culture that we built. You know, anyone that says that political campaigns have to be tense and grueling, they've never worked with the wonderful people that I've had on my team this year. I want to thank the chairman of the Democratic Party in Arkansas, Chairman Michael John Gray, and the entire Democratic Party of Arkansas is here. Chairman Gray is here somewhere. You all have been incredibly supportive from even before I decided with Melanie to jump off this crazy cliff. I'll never forget it. Thank you. And you all are tremendous. I want to thank every single supporter, every donor, every volunteer, everything that you've done for this campaign. It has been one of the biggest honors of my entire life to fight with you all for this state's future this past year. And one day soon, we're going to do it again. Y'all pace yourselves. I got a little bit more to go. And last but not least, I want to thank everyone that I met on the campaign this year. Everyone that allowed me to introduce myself, to share my ideas, and to share with me theirs. You know, I'm a better man because of everyone that I've met this year. And, you know, the folks that I met this year have restored my faith that people in this state and in this country, we have far more in common than we do the things that divide us. And it's restored my hope and my vigor, and it's given me what I need to stay in this fight from now on. You know, we didn't win tonight, but I'm still so proud that in most ways this campaign has been an amazing success. You know, we started this campaign with 4 goals. The first was to run on strong and transformative ideas. In Arkansas, we do not give ourselves enough credit. We have built world-class companies. We have built world-leading industries. We have produced world-class leaders in politics, in culture, in all arenas of life. It only makes sense to me that in the next generation we set big goals. It only makes sense to me that during our lifetime this can become one of the best places in the country to be a public school teacher. That Arkansas can be a national leader in building and growing businesses in small towns, that we can crush childhood poverty, that we can make health care affordable and accessible for everybody. And everything that I've experienced this year has deepened my faith that we can do exactly that if we stay in it. You know, our second goal, we wanted to run a race that was defined by its honor and its integrity. Our country needs every single example right now that it can get of constructive, smart, honest leadership. And I'm so proud of every single person on this team and in this room who set that example this year. Melanie and I started this race with the idea that we would run it in a way that in 10 or 20 years, when our son Duke looks back on it, he could be proud. And we've done that. And I thank you all for the role you are playing in it. You know, our third goal was to do our part at the top of the ticket, to revitalize and help rebuild a compassionate, inclusive, and fact-based, competitive Democratic Party in this state. And we made incredible progress this year. Incredible. Throughout this campaign, we've gained momentum that we should be proud of and we must build upon. We've recruited and trained more than 1,300 volunteers who've connected with people in every corner of this state. We started to build infrastructure in this state that sparks hope in communities that have long felt left behind. And we've begun to build relationships with people we didn't expect to stand with us. As we look towards the future, we know that so many more are on our side. We see in groups like Indivisible, like Moms Demand Action, Black Lives Matter, our dreamers, the youth who are driving the campaigns across the state, and every other organization, big or small, working towards a stronger, equitable Arkansas. You know, our fourth and final goal was the only one that we didn't meet in this campaign. We knew the odds were tough, but every single member of this team ran to win with all their hearts and soul. And we didn't win tonight, but I want to tell you this. Tonight, I have no doubt we'll have many races to celebrate here in Arkansas and around the country. Yeah. And over the last year, I want you to know, I have become certain that in a few short years, Arkansas will have a compassionate, inclusive, reality-based Democratic Party that will once again win far, far more races than it loses. The only question in my mind is how fast it's going to happen. And that is up to every single person in this room and that can hear my voice tonight. You know, I believe this because I've seen and I've heard our ideas resonate with thousands of Arkansans in every single county in this state. I know this because I've met so many phenomenal citizen leaders that have run for office here in Arkansas this year educators, nurses, cancer survivors, foster parents, nonprofit leaders. Some of them are running in races that haven't been contested in decades. And they're reintroducing politics to tens of thousands of Arkansans that have concluded, wrongly, that nothing good can come from it. These people are not going away. Finally, I believe this because this year I've seen what I've known all my life as an Arkansan. If we can rebuild a party that shows up in every zip code, that demonstrates respect and humility, that makes politics about ideas again, rather than endless commercials, mailers, and this year text messages, anything is possible. You know, I want to tell y'all one story, and then I'll wrap up. About 2 weeks ago, seems like 3 months ago, I was in a donut shop in Malvern, Arkansas at 6 a.m. in the morning. And me and a couple of great members of my team walked into this shop, and there were only 2 people in there. 2 older white gentlemen, probably, I think they told me they were about 77, 78 years old. Not exactly the Democratic Party's core demographic right now. But I sat down and talked to these gentlemen and listened. And they asked me a few things, and one of them asked me what I believed about the minimum wage initiative on the ballot. And I told them I supported it, and I said a few things about why I did. And I didn't know when I told him this that this man owned the donut shop we were in. And he didn't like that answer. And over the next 6 or 7 minutes, he proceeded to tell me emphatically why he didn't like that. And I listened to him. I shared my own thoughts here and there, but mostly I just took it in and looked him in the eye. And after a few minutes, he stood up and walked off to a table that had filled up with some patrons in his establishment. And I thought to myself, well, you can't win them all. But before I left, I went over to refill my coffee, because I needed it that day. And I shook his hand. He was standing by the coffee, and I said, "Sir, thanks for letting us be here this morning and for visiting with you." And he said to me, he said, I've never had anyone running for statewide office come in here and ask me for my vote. And I'm going to vote for you. And I share that with you tonight, not to give you a warm and happy story. I share it with you because I learned for the 100th time on the campaign an important lesson. That if we build a party that shows up, if we build a party that is rooted in respect and humility for every person in this state, if we show up and listen and demonstrate that we care, if we bring good ideas, even if they're not the ideas that everyone completely agrees with, we can win and earn votes. We can build a party that works for everyone in this state. There is no reason we can't do that in the coming years. And I'm proud to work alongside all of y'all to do exactly that. I just want to share one last thought, and then I am going to wrap up. 2 generations ago, my grandmother was born near Oil Trough, Arkansas. Although it was only 2 generations ago in this state, when she was about 13 or 14, she decided to go to the 8th grade for the 2nd time. Because where she lived, there was no 9th grade. 2 generations later, her grandson got to graduate college, got to go to work for NASA, an organization that didn't even exist when she was my age, 40 years old. We're running and we're doing this tonight not just so that our political party can win, not just so that we can celebrate victories, but so that we can do what every American generation has done in the past. Not just create a better future, not just scratch out a little bit more opportunity, but set each generation up to do some things, at least 1 or 2, that we cannot even imagine yet. We can have that future in this state and in this country The one thing it requires is for all of us to work together, all of us to not give up, to keep fighting for what we believe in, and to believe that this better future is possible. I am so honored to be here with you all tonight, to have run this race this year. I'm so thankful for all the new friends that I've made, and I cannot wait, after a good break and some rest, to continue fighting for the future that we all know can and should occur in this state and this country. Thank you all so much for being here.